The story comes to us from NBCnews.com. Now, I did a story, I don't know, a year or two ago about a Miami police officer. Remember when they went out, the lady had called for help because the neighbor was pointing a shotgun at her and she was all excited about it. And they were like, shut up, hey, you know, and they grabbed her, pushed her against a fence, and then they went to the ground and she got arrested. Remember that? And she was the one to call for help. Well, the Miami police officer has been convicted.
Body camera video shows Geraldo tackling Dima Loving to the ground. Back in March 2019, she was the one who actually called the cops after being threatened by a neighbor with a gun. Geraldo was then accused of writing an arrest report full of lies. He faces up to 5 years in prison.
A jury took just over an hour to convict a Miami-Dade officer of felony battery and official misconduct in the rough arrest of a black woman who called police for help. Alejandro Geraldo, that was his name, was suspended after cell phone videos circulated of social media in March of 2019, showing him tackling Dima Loving, who had called police to report that a neighbor had pointed a shotgun at her. Police body cameras also recorded the encounter. Now, prosecutor Tim Vandergeesen said police officers can put their hands on people to effectuate a lawful arrest. If the arrest is unlawful, they have no more rights than the rest of us. And he sure as heck can't tackle her to the ground. Finally, here's a prosecutor that says it. These cops have no more rights than you or I. Finally, somebody says it that's in the system, right? A prosecutor.
He just thought that because he was in this uniform, he was the king of the world.
Dima Loving lives in Homestead, and this week video of her arrest from earlier this month has gone viral on social media. Loving says she was walking with a friend on March 5th near Southwest 113th Place and 201st Street when a man started yelling at them. An argument followed, and then the man allegedly pulled out a shotgun and pointed it at them, so they called police.
Geraldo insisted he acted lawfully in subduing an unruly woman who was interfering with an investigation. No, she wasn't. She was a victim of some threat who was excited. Ah! It's like the one in San Bernardino when they had the car accident and the girl was saying she was hurt, and the AMR guy walked over and he was like, what's going on? And she started yelling at him. He said, hey, I don't get paid to be yelled at. Don't scream at me. Get your butt over there on the sidewalk. And he walked away. And as he walked away, she goes, my titty hurts and my back hurts. And he just kept walking because you don't scream at him. That's what he said, remember? And I got on him for it because he was wrong. Once she said, my titty hurt, he should have turned around and said, well, where are you hurting at? Come here, just calm down. Calm down, calm down. That's what he should have did. But they get egos. People put on a uniform. They got a patch on here. They get an ego. Hey, you don't talk to me like that. You know how many times I get talked rudely to at work? And I just talk real calm and go, look, I get it. And then they calm down and they go, okay, I'm just upset right now. I know, it's very frustrating. Let's talk it out here. Look. And I help them through it. It's not easy. It takes discipline. It takes practice. You have to habitually do that. It's called de-escalation. But we come back to this story here where this cop doesn't know how to de-escalate. So what does he do? He starts yelling at her, throws her against a fence, and tackles her to the ground.
This is where when I was on the ground, when he put me on the ground, the way he had me positioned, my arm was on the ground and he just ripped my arm from up under me, which made it scrape against the concrete.
Loving was arrested and charged with resisting arrest and disorderly conduct, but the video of her arrest has now gone viral, leading to an investigation into the force the officers used.
I expected them to come get our statement, go get his statement, get his gun, arrest him, for threatening us, and I don't know, it completely went the opposite way.
His attorney, Andre Rouvier, told jurors what you see there isn't a crime. What you see there is a police officer working the streets, dealing with a situation, and maybe his bedside manner was off. When he arrested Dima Loving, it was after warning that she was being disruptive. Okay, his bedside manner is off. I get that. I'll give it to that. I'll give him that. Sometimes cops yell at people. Sometimes cops lose it. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. I have to really work sometimes to stay calm with people that are yelling and rude. And I'm getting better. I'm working on myself. But to put hands on her and tackle her to the ground just because she's yelling and excited. Why didn't he de-escalate? Hey, hold on a minute. Talk. Ho. Sometimes I'll just stand there and look at people when they're, cut me off and they're very excited and they're pissed off. I'll just go, and they'll go, are you going to help me? Okay, let me explain something. And they'll go, okay. And they'll listen because they're like, why is he just staring at me? And they shut up for a second and I go, let me explain right here. Come here. So let me. And I explain to them and they go, okay, I get it. I'm sorry. It's all right. And I know it doesn't always work that way. Humans are not perfect. But to grab her and throw her on the ground, that's not de-escalation. Geraldo, who's Hispanic, faces up to 5 years in prison at his sentencing. The jury consisted of 2 black women, 1 Hispanic woman, and 3 Hispanic men. Now remember, he's also Hispanic.
The first officers who showed up took their statement, but when another officer arrived, Loving asked if he could help her get a phone charger to call her kids. But she says he refused and that he was extremely rude. That's when her friend started filming and the video begins. You can see a group of Miami-Dade police officers surrounding Loving, who's getting worked up, and at one point, you can hear a male voice saying she needs to be, quote, corrected.
You know what? She needs to be corrected, if anything.
Calm down.
All right?
Why?
Why do I have to be corrected when my life was just threatened and my daughter's sick? I just want to go to
Are you
the
gonna
store
continue
and
screaming?
charge my
No,
phone.
please stop. She didn't even do nothing.
Touch me.
Then things start to get physical. One officer shoves her up against a fence, and then he and another officer try to put her into handcuffs. But when she doesn't immediately relax her arms, he slams her to the ground.
The video sparked outrage in a county where at least 9 police officers from 4 different police agencies are awaiting trial on allegations they battered suspects while on duty, according to the Miami Herald. 3 other officers have been acquitted since 2019 in excessive force cases. I believe it's all one of the cases they're talking about here was the one of the Miami police agencies in the hotel. Remember, they tackled the guy and the guy was recording and they ran over and tackled him for recording. Remember that? I think that's one of the ones they may be talking about here.
Khalid Vaughn is a witness recording an arrest on his cell phone when an officer tackles him to the ground and unleashes a series of punches. According to a new arrest report for the officers, one cop exclaimed, "My man." Vaughn replied, "I'm minding my business, but I'm just recording. Y'all got him already. He's handcuffed." The officer shouts, "Back up." The video proves that witness complied. The report says he was 5 feet away from the nearest officer, but upwards of 15 feet away from the spot where the suspect was being detained. Mr. Vaughn complies with the commands and backs up, continues to record while taking steps backwards in compliance. Still, Officer Robert Sabater rushes around other police officers and shoulder slams into Mr. Vaughn. 5 Miami Beach police officers have since been charged criminally for what happened that night in the lobby of the Royal Palm Hotel, where cops caught up with Delante Cruda, who had just been accused of injuring another officer with the scooter. Even though Cruda complied and was handcuffed, video shows he was body slammed and kicked in the face by Sergeant Jose Perez.
But the fact is, here's a cop that got convicted and now he's looking at sentencing. They're tired of it. I think people in this prosecutor, I think he's just tired of hearing it. Like, another one? Another cop? And so it's getting to the point where I think people are just getting like, you know what? We're going to have to do something about these cops or they're just going to keep taking over. You have to learn de-escalation when you're law enforcement. You have to. Okay, your bedside manner can be off. I get that. Not everybody has a perfect day. You had a fight with a wife. You had a fight with a husband. You had a fight with your companion. You had a fight with whoever. Okay? And you're upset, and you're just, and then they got to deal with this guy. Ugh. I get that. Some days it goes like that. But to do what this guy did and just take it to where you push her against a chain link fence and then you both go to the ground and you handcuff her, it should never went to that. The girl that the cop said, she put ashes on the hood of my car. Whoopee freaking do. And then what, she spit and he grabbed her and threw her on the ground. She's a pregnant girl too, by the way. Remember, she busted her face up. Where was that? And the other cop was like, dude, what the? The other cop was even like, wow. That's surprising when a cop is surprised.
Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle released a statement on Twitter saying, quote, "We will continue doing what we can to hold officers who violate the law accountable, because when a law enforcement officer commits a crime, it truly eats at the trust they need to keep our residents and communities safe."
Miami-Dade Police Director Juan Perez released a statement that said in part, quote, "I find the actions depicted on the video deeply troubling and in no way reflective of our core values." He continues saying they opened an inquiry which, quote, "resulted in the officer being relieved of duty and his role as a field training officer. An investigation into the entire incident is currently ongoing, and upon its conclusion, I will hold those that violated any of our policies and procedures accountable for their actions or lack thereof."
So my point is, law enforcement officers are going to have to learn to de-escalate. You're going to have to practice it. I don't know if you have to pray, if you have to burn incense, if you have to, hold your hands out and go, humna, humna, ramaha, humna, humna, ramaha. Whatever you got to do. Do yoga, do yogurt. Yeah, there you go. Do yoga and look at the 5 points of whatever it is. Trans meditation, I don't know, transcendental meditation. Whatever you got to do, you law enforcement officers are going to have to learn to de-escalate. I'm trying to learn myself as a cop watcher to be more I've been praying a lot. I don't even know where this video is going, but I did want to let you all know that that cop has been convicted, and he's now looking at sentencing. There you go, Miami.